You ever had your whole world flipped by a woman in a powder blue suit who thinks she can buy reality itself? Because the morning this all started, I was sitting behind the wheel of my '78 Ford Bronco, letting the engine tick down in the high desert heat when I found out what happens when entitlement meets the end of the road. Literally, the sun was already beating down like it had something to prove. Through the dust-caked windshield, I spotted her coming heels, clicking sharp as a judge's gavel blue suit, brighter than the damn sky. She marched right up and smacked her Mont Blanc pin on my hood 3 times like she was summoning a demon or just waking the dead. "Move this rusted trash before I have it incinerated for pollution," she snapped. Didn't even bother looking at me. Just looked at my Bronco like it was a disease that might be contagious. Then she flicked her hand at a heavy-duty tow truck lurking 50 yards back. She didn't see me as a person. I was just debris. A violation. Something in the way of her parade of Porsches and Range Rovers waiting at the end of the drive. Only she had no idea the dirt under her Italian heels already belonged to me. I opened my door, the hinge screaming a rusty complaint, and stepped out. Boots thudding on the HOA's perfect blacktop, caked in red clay and dried mud from 3 states away. Didn't bother introducing myself. Didn't say sorry. I just set up a tripod with a military-grade laser rangefinder right on the center line of the road and got to measuring. She spun around, her eyes going wide like I'd just planted a flag. "I did not give you permission to set up camp," she spat. "This is private property. I'm Karina Draxler, president of the Obsidian Ridge Board. You are trespassing." She didn't know, didn't want to know. I wasn't just some drifter. I ignored her, started measuring from the marble gatehouse to the fountain spraying recycled water. "Are you deaf?" she demanded, stepping right up with a cloud of perfume and threat. Finally, I looked at her, gave her the same dead-eyed stare I used on lawyers and accountants when I was chasing down assets for the federal courts. "You might want to hold off on that call," I said, slow and dry, "unless you want the sheriff to witness a federal eviction." She barked out a laugh, sharp, cruel, like a guard dog. "Eviction? You look like a drifter who took a wrong turn at the landfill." She slapped a neon orange sticker on my window, $5,000 fine for visual distress. 5 minutes to pay or she'd seize my truck. I just leaned on my door right beside that sticker, arms crossed, and watched her storm off to call her lawyers. You ever wonder where in the world stories like this actually happen? Go ahead, drop your city or country below. I want to see how far crazy travels. 5 minutes, she said, glancing at her diamond watch. "Karina," I read off her badge, "you got a structural problem. See, I didn't inherit this land. I recovered it. Sterling Mining Corporation, does that ring any bells?" She tried to play dumb, but her eyes flickered. Everybody in high-stakes real estate knew about Apex shell companies, old deeds, lost land. Turns out, after a 5-year court fight, the last physical asset of Sterling Mining, this exact stretch of road, was awarded to me, not her, not the HOA. She scoffed, trying to hold on to her poise. "This land was developed by Obsidian Partners 10 years ago. We have clear title. For the homes and the clubhouse, sure, but you or your developers never bought the mineral rights or the surface access rights for the transition zones. You just assumed the roads were public easements." I peeled a corner of the sticker with my thumbnail. Bad assumption. She insisted they'd maintained the road for a decade. "That's called trespassing," I told her, calm as coffee. "An unauthorized improvement of private property." I walked to my truck, pulled a steel survey stake and a 4-pound sledgehammer, and pounded the stake into the road. Clang, clang, clang. Each hit a reminder this wasn't her playground anymore. "What do you think you're doing?" she shrieked. "You cannot damage this road. We have doctors, lawyers, CEOs living here." "Then they should have bought a helicopter," I said, leaning on the hammer. "As the owner, I have liability. The road is closed." She waved the tow truck forward. The driver hesitated. "If that's a property dispute, ma'am, I can't touch it." She threatened his contract. He started backing up. "Checkmate, you dirty grifter," Karina hissed at me. "I've dealt with con artists before." I just smiled, pulled out a document tube, unsealed it, and rolled out a federal court order across my hood. "Driver, I called. You're about to tow federal evidence in an active bankruptcy liquidation. The guy froze, stared, then peeled out, leaving Karina standing alone in a cloud of exhaust. She dialed 911, fingers shaking. You're going to prison. Tell the sheriff to bring a surveyor, I said. While she fumed, I went back to work. Every car that tried to cross my land was more evidence for the lawsuit I was stacking up, one count of trespass at a time. Soon enough, sirens wailed. 2 county cruisers rolled up. Sheriff Prescott, a big man in a too big hat, swaggered over. What's the trouble, Karina? He's blocking the only road in, Sheriff. Arrest him. Prescott turned to me. Fun's over, son. Move your circus or ride in mine. I didn't even flinch. Sheriff, I'm securing a hazardous roadway on my private property. If you force me to open it, you're liable for any injuries. He blinked. Private property. This is the main road. Nope. Unit 49B mining easement. Never dedicated to the county, never transferred. I laid out the court order. Prescott saw the federal seal, the judge's signature. The swagger faded from his voice. This looks official. Karina lost it, shouted about forgeries and coffee shops and how I looked like a mechanic. Appearances can be deceiving, I said. You look like a successful property manager, but you're trespassing on a federal asset. Prescott shrugged. Karina, if this order's real, it's civil. I can't do a thing. You need a lawyer. I have lawyers, she screeched. Good, I said. But let's talk about the toll. Her jaw dropped. What toll? Temporary usage permit $500 per vehicle one way. She raged. Suit yourself, I shrugged. Then nobody moves. Pretty soon the line of luxury cars stretched 20 deep. Dr. Henderson in his crisp linen came storming up. What's going on? I've got a tea time. Karina tried to smooth things over, but Henderson just wanted the gate open. He slapped $500 on the ground. There, move. I handed him a handwritten receipt and pulled the stake. As he sped through, I shouted, next one by one, the rest caved. Money was easier than principle for these folks. In 30 minutes, I had enough cash to choke a horse, and Karina had lost control in front of her entire kingdom. Now here's where the twist rolled in. When you think you've seen every trick, life throws you a new one. I pulled out my drone, a quadcopter with thermal imaging, and sent it up for a bird's eye view. On my screen, the landscape glowed with secrets. Running right under that road was a high-voltage power line, a pressurized water main, and a fat fiber optic cable, all unauthorized, buried shallow, cutting across my land. Karina, you know what is under 49B, I called. She tried to brush it off, but I kicked open a green metal box by the road and pulled out bolt cutters. If that power line is trespassing, I have the right to remove it, I told her. Panic and pride fought it out in her eyes. I will not negotiate with a terrorist, she spat. I've called private security. Right about then, 2 black SUVs pulled up. 4 big men in tactical vests got out, no badges, just attitude. Karina grinned, thinking she'd won. Last chance. Leave now or you don't walk away. I just went to my truck, grabbed my radio. Base, this is Unit 1. Code black at the gate. Hostile containment. Bring the thunder. The cavalry was on the way. The mercs tried to play tough, slamming a flashlight against my window, telling me to come out or else. I just lifted my phone, recording everything. Assaulting a federal contractor in a secured zone that's 5 years mandatory minimum, I said calm as could be. That got their attention. They switched to siege mode, waiting to starve me out. As darkness closed in and the temperature dropped, I was comfy in my thermal bag, sipping coffee. They didn't know it, but the siege was the distraction. While they watched me, the real show was lining up on the horizon. At 2:55 a.m., the ground began to shake, first a vibration, then a rumble. Then, with a wall of blinding light, a Caterpillar D9 bulldozer appeared, followed by an excavator. Mercs scattered. The D9's blade bit into the perfect asphalt, peeling it back like old linoleum. Obsidian Ridge's golden road vanished in minutes. Karina arrived in a silk robe, screaming bloody murder, but it was too late. When the dozer blade hit the water main, a geyser erupted, drenching Karina in red clay and exposing all the secrets buried under her so-called kingdom. That sunrise. It revealed everything. The cut cables, the destroyed road, Karina sitting in the mud, her armor cracked for all to see. Residents gathered silent, staring at the truth. Then flashing lights, real ones, swept in. FBI agents and windbreakers. Karina started screaming for them to arrest me. But they walked right past me and slapped the cuffs on her wire fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion. Turns out she'd been double-dipping, pocketing lease fees from illegal utility lines and stealing from her own neighbors. The final punctuation was the click of her handcuffs echoing across the canyon. Dr. Henderson called out, "She's gone. But what happens now?" I told them. "My crew can drop a steel bridge by noon and repave the road in 3 days. But the HOA's dissolved. You elect a new board, transparent, fair, and no more sticker tyranny. Lease is $1 a year." Relief swept through the crowd like rain after a drought. By sunset, traffic was moving again. Henderson offered me a spot on the new board. "Thanks, Doc, but I've got other fights," I said, firing up my old Bronco and crossing the new bridge as the wind swept through the broken window. Karina learned the hard way: never build your castle on someone else's dirt, and never underestimate a man with a rusty truck. So tell me, where do you stand? Was justice served, or did I go too far? Would you have handled it different? Drop your thoughts below or share your own HOA nightmare. And hey, if seeing karma delivered by 60 tons of steel made your day, hit that like and subscribe. I'll save you a seat for the next wild ride.